Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to TBTV. So, one day about 2 months ago, I had did this recording, and it was I was talking about mothers and sons. Now, I ended up doing this recording because I was watching one of my favorite little adult cartoons, called Bob's Burgers. So I want to say this. If you all have been following me over the last couple of months and things like that, and if you've ever read my newsletter, then you know I had a section on there that's called Watch and Learn. And I've said that I feel like you can learn something from anywhere. You could be watching a comedy, you could be watching a sitcom, you could be listening to a minister, a motivational speaker. I mean, you can just learn something from anywhere if you're actually watching to learn. So, with that said, I was watching Bob's Burger. This was back in March. And this particular episode, it was centered around the son and the mother. So the son name is Gene and the mother name is Linda. Now, Linda has two sons and then two daughters and this son, and then she's married. Well, Linda and Gene had a special little relationship, right? And I think Gene looks to be around maybe 10 or 11 or something like that. Well, I guess maybe ever since Gene was younger, it could have been 6, 7 years old, Linda had been spending a lot of time with Gene. And Linda, on Saturday, she had created these little spa days and things like that that they would do, right? And so now Gene's 10, 11 years old. Linda, is starting to feel like she want to start making some changes in her life. She want to do some different things. She's trying to do this career stuff and things like that. And so it's taking her away from being able to do these spa days and all this little special stuff that's just her mother and son stuff that she does with Jane. So the daddy, that's Bob. Bob starts trying to take over these days, okay? Like, okay, Gene, I'm doing with you and this and that, but Gene ain't liking that. Gene wants to do them with his mama, okay? Nothing about, him and his daddy starting to bond and this and that is working for Gene. It's not working because Gene liked the relationship that him and his mama has already been having, and he ain't trying to hear that things is, trying to change, right? So I'm saying all of that again to say that we as mothers have to get to this place or this space where we realize when it's time to kind of like basically wean our sons away. Okay, wean our sons away from us, you know what I mean, so that they can go from being our little boys, our little babies and this and that, into big boys that are going to end up being young men, who are going to end up being grown men, who are going to end up becoming somebody else's man. Do you see what I'm saying? We have to figure out how to do this. This is helpful for the son as well as it's helpful for you. Do you see what I'm saying? It helps to draw some sort of line in the sand, or create some sort of boundary where the mother and son, by the time this son is an adult, you both know your roles. Okay, you both know your roles. And I know this from experience, you know what I'm saying? Beyond just watching it on Bob's Burgers. I have 3 sons myself. And my youngest son in particular, I remember when, by the time he was 13, I had, or maybe 12, I had was divorced, okay, for the second time. And I had been divorced for a couple of years by then. And we had developed this, bond. We already had a good bond because he's my last son. And he was so spoiled, you know what I'm saying? He was so baby fat because he was my youngest son, as well as he has different little things that's going on with him that made me baby him so much. Well, anyway, we liked a lot of the same television programs, okay? So we would always watch all these programs together. When they'll come on, he'll come up there, he'll get on in the bed with me, and we'll be hours and hours watching all these television programs. Well, by the time, like I said, he had hit 11, 12, somewhere around there, I had gotten into a relationship. And when I got into that relationship, he was upset. He was very upset because he could not understand why every time the program came on, he was not able to now come in there again every single time and watch this program with his mama. He was not able to understand why, if he fell asleep in the bed with his mama, he can't just go on and just sleep right here, because he figured, we watching the program together. When we fall asleep, ain't nobody here, me and you. Why can't I just still fall asleep here? So it had created an issue with us. And I ended up having to get the social worker at his clinic to talk to him. And we had to work on it to, like, I guess, sever, and not totally sever our relationship, but to define our relationship at that point and help my son to understand that you're a big boy now. You're a big boy now. You have your own room. You have your own TV. You know what I'm saying? You got to start, doing your different boy things, because your mother has her own life too. Do you see what I'm saying? We as mothers, again, we have to figure out a way to wean ourselves away from our sons so that they are able to grow, so that we are able to grow. Okay? Again, it makes me think about my own grandmother and my uncle that just passed. And it's funny because when I did this recording, I spoke about this exact thing. And my uncle was here at the time. And literally until the day that my uncle passed, this situation that I'm talking about, as far as never being weaned away, that had never happened. My uncle was never weaned away from my grandmother. He was never weaned away from my grandmother. And it was a twofold situation, okay? I think it was a little more on my grandma's side than it was on his side, okay? I think that their relationship had been the way it was for so long, where he was just so baby fat. He was a 62-year-old man and might as well have been 2 or 3 years old. And my grandmother really liked it that way. Okay, she had husbands, in her younger time and this and that. But over the last 30 years, my grandmother and my uncle, they had been in each other's life real tight. So my grandmother, to me, I feel like that she didn't know where the boundaries were with their relationship. It's like she literally treated him like he was both her son and like he was her man. My grandmother did not understand, like, for instance, him being in a relationship, and if he wouldn't have spent the night at whoever he was dating or going with, if he wouldn't have spent the night at his girlfriend's house, my grandmother would literally have an attitude. She would talk to me about it and complain and this and that, like, oh, he wrong, he this and that, and I would have to tell her, he's not, though. He's not. Like, he's grown. Like, when he was 40-something, 50-something, I'm telling her, like, that's what grown men do. That's what grown women do when people are in a relationship. Yeah, well, man, you would think somebody would treat their mother better. I was like, that don't have anything to do with him not treating you better if he went and spent the night at his girlfriend's house. That doesn't have anything to do with him treating you better if his girlfriend comes and spend the night at his house, because they lived in a 2-family flat. He lived up and she lived down. You know what I'm saying? But the boundaries had gotten so blurred and had been going on for so long that my grandmother did not understand. You know what I'm saying? Again, you must change in order to grow on both sides. And I feel like that my grandmother's growth had even stunted at a certain point because of their relationship being the way that it was for so long. Do you see what I'm saying? It was like, to the point of my grandmother, if you brought her some food, okay? Let's just say if you brought her over something to eat. If you brought her over something to eat and she saw that you were not bringing over enough, that what you brought was not enough to feed my uncle as well, her son, she wouldn't even eat. My grandmother wouldn't even eat whatever it was that you brought over there to her, because of the fact that she felt like it's not enough for me and my son, and I want to make sure that my son eat. Again, like he was a 3-4-year-old child and she had to feed her son. Okay? She wasn't going on just eat like this wasn't a 55, 60-year-old man here that he gonna eat. He know he gotta eat. He's grown. Do you see what I'm saying? I remember maybe a month and a half ago, she literally got me. It was Easter. She got mad at my mother because my mother had fixed the plate, and the plate that my mother ended up dropping off over there. When I got to my grandmother's house the next day, I said, "Did you like the food, Grandma?" And she said to me, Yeah, well, she didn't even barely send any. She didn't barely. I said, I was sitting there when she fixed the place. She put different stuff in there, whatever. Yeah, well, she ain't sent enough. She didn't send enough for Chris. And I ended up saying to her, I said, Grandma, I said, everybody's top priority is not making sure that your adult son eats. She was trying to make sure that her mother ate. But my grandmother was mad that she wasn't trying to make sure that her son ate too. Okay? Mothers, mothers, we must figure out a way to wean our sons away from us so that they can grow into, okay, come from being our little boys to a big boy, to a young man, to a grown man, to someone else's man. Okay? We must do this. It's beneficial for our growth as well as their growth. Okay? It's beneficial. It's beneficial. I'm just saying. So anyway, that's the point of the day. Okay? We must change in order to grow. All right? We must change in order to grow. So I hope this was helpful to you. And if you know somebody that this will be helpful for them, please share it with them. Please share, okay? If you liked it, press that like down there. If you are not subscribed, to my channel, please subscribe. Please subscribe so you can always get all of the daily motivation or any other thing that I'm talking about. You can automatically get it. I wish you all a blessed day, a prosperous day, safe travels, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.